Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Thinnest Veil podcast. I am Dr. Melissa Bird, your hostess, and I'm very excited today to be joined by the lovely and fabulous Amy and Nancy Harrington, my dear friends and sisterhood duo who rock the world. So, welcome.
Thank you. That's the most lovely introduction ever.
I know, you guys are amazing. Would you please tell my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
All right. The short Reader's Digest condensed version is we are sisters. We left our lives in Hollywood, and we spend our days now figuring out how we can help and support women, especially in marginalized communities. And we do that in our online community called the Passionistas Project Sisterhood, where we help women in the areas of business development, personal growth, and social impact. And it's a lovely, lovely space, as I think you will attest.
It is the best space. Amy, do you want to say anything?
No, I think that summarized it
Well, do
beautifully.
you want to say who you are at least?
Oh, yeah, I'm Nancy's sister, most importantly. There's no greater honor in the world, and that sounded sarcastic, but it's not. That happens with me sometimes. Nancy's amazing, and we went into business with each other because we both were feeling like we didn't like our regular 9 to 9 jobs anymore, and we wanted to work with the person that we trusted most in the world. And so we started that 20 years ago, 20-ish years ago. And over the years, people kept saying to us as they would see us together, we used to joke when we actually had to go into an office together that we were like ice dancers, like we could not be more than 2 inches apart or we would get disqualified. So people always saw us together, and they would say, God, I wish I had what you have.
Yeah.
And so when it was time to build a community online, we realized that we needed to make it a sisterhood because there are so many women who don't have what we have, and we're so grateful for it. And we wanted to give the women of the world and the gender non-conforming, non-binary people of the world a sister like we have. And not only one, but as of right now, about 460 of them. So,
Woo! That's amazing. I have to say, it has been so fun watching you grow this community because I met you during the pandemic. So this has been a very joyful thing to watch you grow this community. I love it so much. And so as you know, this podcast talks about the liminal spaces and spirituality and all the things. But I would really like to talk to you today about what it's like to build an intentional community around these important things like connection and mutual respect and love for each other. And I'd love for you to talk also about the things that have surprised you about doing this, not just the good stuff, but also the stuff that has been maybe harder or more difficult for you to navigate. So I don't care which one of you starts with that, but I'd love to hear from both of you about that.
ooh. Well, I think the most surprising thing to me is how much I personally have benefited from it. I feel like it's actually been a very selfish journey because I think I've grown more than anybody else in the whole community was as I watch from above outside my body. Um, yeah, I never expected the impact it would have on
Mhm.
us personally. I mean, we have made better friends, present company included, through this sisterhood than I have the rest of my 62 years on this earth. So, um, it's really been impactful, and that's the most surprising thing to me, I think. What about you, Amy?
Well, I think it ties into the first part of the question, which is like building an intentional community. So when we decided to build the sisterhood, we knew immediately didn't want it just to be business networking, that we also were finding as we interviewed women for our podcast, that when we would ask them like, what do you do for self-care? 99% of them would be like, what? I don't do self-care.
What's that?
And so we knew we needed to have a personal growth component where people were learning about hypnotherapy and EFT tapping and spirituality and following your intuition and things like that. But we also knew that the women in our community are, whether they're entrepreneurs or artists or, you know, just human beings living on the planet, they all, what makes them passionistas is that they want to give back in some way. And so we also knew that social impact was like a key to it. And so the intentionality behind the sisterhood is to have that be a really representative experience. It was really critical to us that women from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all abilities were present in the community, and that they felt safe and that they felt um, that they could come and they could be, you know, that buzzword, their authentic selves, but actually be that. And they didn't have to come like they were going to a business networking thing with their resume perfectly in shape. And
Right.
so that was the intention behind what we built. And as even you said to us 8 months into it, like, wow, didn't think you could pull it off. Um, but
I did not say that.
you did. You actually said those exact words. And it was
Okay,
beautiful.
I might have said
And
that.
it was beautiful because it was like, you know, I'm glad I didn't know that when we started, but I'm happy to hear now that you see that it's working. Um, so I think the pluses and minuses that come with that are that we care deeply about each and every human being that's in the sisterhood. And we have really come to know, especially the people that are really active, we know their daily wins. We have a wall of women's wins so people can celebrate stuff, but we also have a share anything space where they can just lay it all out there. And so we know everybody's struggles. And so the challenge is like keeping, we're connected emotionally to everybody, but we also have to kind of manage the flow of things. And so how do we not just like leave it all on the Passionistas floor every night when we wrap up the day with over caring about all these people.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't think you can ever over care, but you know what I mean. But I think that's one of the challenging things is just like, oh, I can't fix everybody's problems, but that's not our intention. Our intention is to give people the space to tell their stories, to create better understanding and connection. And I have to separate myself personally from like, and you can't fix it. You can support it. You can be an ally. You can be an advocate, but you can't fix everything.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I really love about what you've done, and I actually want to dig more into this idea of creating spaces that have social impact,
Mhm.
because um, it really is a place where you do not have to be afraid to get trolled or harassed or lambasted. Like you can put your thoughts and feelings out into the world, and you know that half the time people are going to be like, oh my God, me too. And the other half of the time people are going to be like, holy crap, that's amazing. Or, you know, I'm really sorry. Like there's an authenticity there that's you just don't find in online communities. Um, and I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about this idea of social impact, because right now, so many people are like, I want to do something to make a difference and I want to do something to make a change. And I'm curious what you've noticed about what are those social impacts that you're observing people are making from this sisterhood?
Yeah. I think they start anywhere from just what you just said is saying to somebody, oh, that's so amazing. Good for you. Cheering people on. I mean, I think people don't give enough credit to those small little things that you can do to one single person and what the ripple effect that that has on people. Um, so I think we're seeing you, as you always say, humans being. I love that. I love that phrase. I think we're seeing people finding the humanity in one another and supporting one another. And I think that's huge. But we're also seeing gigantic things. We're seeing women who organize, trips to Guatemala to help build schools for little kids there. You know, I mean, the women in our community, the social impact they have is so far reaching. So I think that one of the things that I've learned and that our community has learned is that social impact can take on many, many different meanings.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't have to be go out. You know, you actually talked about it in your TV show this week. You know, you don't have to go out to a protest. That's not the only way that you can have an impact in your community. You know, there's a lot of things you can do, from being nice to your neighbor when you walk down the street to helping kids in Guatemala.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amy, how about you?
Yeah, I think that, you know, the day after the inauguration, we had a meeting that it got a little bit tense. And it was one of the only times in the sisterhood where things got tense. And you know, emotions were understandably high, which is why we wanted to have this get together so that we could be there for each other. And I think that there are, you know, we navigated through it. We spoke with everybody afterwards and made sure everybody felt comfortable. But what came out of it was a post that we did to everybody in the community, whether they were there or not, which is now is a time to listen.
Yeah.
And the there's so many women in the community that are going through things, whether they are Latina and they're worried about immigration, whether they are, you know, struggling financially, whether they are LGBTQ and they're afraid that their rights are going to continue to be stripped away. We're 99% women, you know, all identifying as women or non-binary, and God knows that we have had attacks on all of us. So it's important to us to kind of remind everybody that listening is an act of activism.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that sometimes it's in the silences that you have the greatest impact. Nancy always feels like she's the quiet one of the two of us, and sometimes that she's expressed to all of us that that makes her feel bad. And it's like, no, that's the beauty of Nancy, and I think it's partly the beauty of the community is there are people that are willing to listen to each other and um and then act on it when they can in whatever ways they can. A phone call to representatives or, you know, collaborating together. You and Dolly Rivera just did an amazing podcast together that probably wouldn't have come together if you didn't meet through us in the sisterhood. You know,
Oh no, that never would have happened without the sisterhood.
yeah, you know, we introduced you, and as a result, there's this conversation that everybody should hear. Um, you know, we have a summit coming up that's women telling their own stories, and some of them are fun, but a lot of them are like, I went through this because
Yeah.
this, you know, this is part of my experience, and here's the result of it. And it's inspiring. So people can listen and be active. They can just support each other. They can share their stories and be activists just by not being afraid to step up and be in the spotlight and talk about something that might be a little fear-inducing to talk about right now. So I think it's those moments, the quiet moments that are to me are the most impactful within the community.
Yeah, you know, I was talking, you know me, I'm always looking for my signier signs. And Safriana, who I would not have met without the sisterhood. Safriana and I are doing a couple of podcast interviews together for the podcast.
Oh yeah, thanks, universe.
Um,
Thumbs up for those listening to the audio.
and I know I got the bubble thumbs up. And she mentioned something about softening and like what it means to soften into things. And then I read it on a Substack like 3 hours later. And then I was on a call with some folks. Um, and someone said to me, it's time for you to soften. And I
Mm.
was like, I don't love that message. But I hear that signier sign. And I'm wondering how this experience has allowed you to like surrender into your knowing, like your intuitive knowing. Like, what have you learned from creating this experience? Like, how have you softened and sort of fell into and surrendered into your knowing?
What's funny for me is I've always been a soft person. And I think this journey, I think, Amy just referenced me saying lately that I have been feeling bad again about being quiet.
Mm.
And I, um, I've always been quiet. It used to bother the hell out of me. And then I finally got to a point around my 40s where I was like, fuck it. This is who I am and I don't care.
Yeah.
And I was way comfortable with it for a really long time. And then there's something about being a leader, an involuntary leader. Like it didn't occur to me till we were months into this process, like, oh, I'm a leader. Shit. I didn't know that. How did that happen? And I think that realization sort of brought back all those voices in my head that I need to be more authoritative and I need to step up more and I need to, and I was need to, and it's been nagging at me. And now I'm back to the beginning again where I realized, no, fuck it. I don't need to do that. I need to be my authentic self, which is someone who doesn't always have a lot to say. And I listen.
God bless that internalized misogyny, man. It is a hard habit to break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And there's nothing like being thrust into leadership without realizing that's what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
Bring that internalized misogyny right up. Like the authoritative leader is such a very white male centric
Mhm.
form of leadership.
Mhm.
I love that, Nancy. Like, because your form of leadership, like the way you are being in the world, inspires me so much to remember that sometimes you don't need to be the loudest one in the room to have so much power. And I'm really glad you said that. Thank you.
Yep.
Amy?
How about you? She's small but mighty. Um, I, on the other hand, am the louder of the sisters. Um, I work-wise grew up in an environment that was all white male dominated leadership. And so when it comes to work, I have a very hard side. I have a like, gotta be able to get in people's face and, you know, be in charge and take control when need be. And then I have the personal side of me, which is a smushy little puddle emotions that, bubbles up all the time.
Yeah.
So but for the hard edge side, softening that hard edge side, it didn't happen in the sisterhood for me until 4 or 5 months ago when something happened there. I don't know if it was the fires or something, but something happened and Nancy and I were just having a really hard time. And we went on into the share anything space and we just were super vulnerable. And the second we became really vulnerable, it cracked open the door for everybody to become vulnerable. And I felt like it was a real, like the most important turning point in the community where all of a sudden, like everybody was like, oh, so I can say I'm just having a bad day? All right, good. Because I had a really bad day. And so for me, the softening is remembering this, I'm leading with a different kind of energy here. And the one that I want to lead with, I never want to go back to what that was because it was terrifying and it wasn't me. And I was actually good at it. I could go into that place really well, and I still can when I need to, but I don't enjoy it. It was a lot of like, okay, I'm about to talk to this person and I have to be this personality, or I have to get in their face and say that, and it was never a yeller, but like be firm. And that's not the energy that is needed or welcomed in the community. Like it's a place of love and compassion
Yeah.
and understanding. And so it's really refreshing and freeing to just be able to be like, oh, in a workshop in the sisterhood and I'm crying and I'm supposed to be in charge and I'm crying and it's like, oh well, that's what's happening, and it's incredibly liberating for me, and I think incredibly freeing for everybody else in the community.
Yeah.
Can I add another thing that I've witnessed?
Absolutely.
I've witnessed a softening of Amy.
Uh-oh, now I'm gonna see, now I'm gonna cry.
Be
Which
a
is
podcast
something,
with me if you
is
didn't
something
cry.
we don't really acknowledge a lot, but it's so important, is that because of Amy's background in the studio world where she came from, she didn't trust anybody. And although the film industry was a very collaborative industry, the business side of it where she worked was not. And it took her all of these years, 20 something years, to get to a point where she not only has let people in, but collaboration is first and foremost the main thing that she likes. And that she never used to be that way. It would be like somebody would call and be like, "Oh, do you know so and so? Could you introduce me?" And she'd be like, "No, I can't. I can't introduce you because if that goes wrong, then I'll be in trouble and this one will get mad and I can't, you know." And so
Yep.
it's been really awesome to watch all of that hardness fall away from Amy and be this beautiful collaborative spirit that she has become.
That is so beautiful, Nancy. Thank you.
Who's crying now?
Um, one of the things that I really, and it was the fires, by the way, when you did that vulnerable post, I remember the LA fires. One of the things that I really love about this conversation, about talking to you both, is that um I um I really struggled with maintaining a persona online. Um and when I decided to go off of social media because I got my knees replaced last year, um, I still stayed in the sisterhood. Like, the sisterhood was the place that decided to very intentionally stay. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit, we keep hearing these little lovely little sound bites about how we've never been more connected and we've never been more disconnected. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you are maintaining this authenticity, this connection, like what happens within this group of humans that has allowed this to continue to not just go well, but to expand and to flourish and grow in this way that it's like a blooming flower every day. And I'm curious what it is that you've noticed that has allowed it to continue to expand in this way.
I wish I knew. It's the secret sauce, I guess. I think it's just because Amy and I are authentic and we do truly, Amy and I value family and sisterhood more than anything. Our mother instilled that in us from when we were kids. And and so when we welcome someone into our family, into our sisterhood, we mean it. Like we're there for you. When we say, "Is there something I can do for you?" We mean it. It's not just, an empty phrase. And I think that people see that that's authentic and appreciate that that's authentic, and then so they're starting to tell all their friends, so that their friends are coming with this trusted referral from somebody that has told them that this is the real deal. This isn't just another community where we say we're going to support each other, but we don't.
I also think pretty much everybody that joins at this point that isn't referred by somebody else is someone we have talked to directly. That is like an introduction from somebody or somebody's we meet when we're out in the world. And so we talk to them. And if they respond to us and sign up, then odds are they're gonna respond to the other women that are there. It's very rare these days for someone just to like be a cold,
Yeah.
unconnected, disconnected either from a sister or from us that comes in. And I also think it's because people, again, are feeling like they can be heard and be vulnerable, so they're more open to the people who are really active, and there's a good number of you, um, they keep coming back because they can tell their story. They can share their experiences. They can, people are like, I don't want to sell, I don't want to seem salesy. It's like, no, if you come on the sisterhood, it doesn't seem salesy. People are promoting their stuff all the time, but it doesn't feel like anybody's trying to sell you something. And that's because we remind everybody all the time, like, what you have is a gift to offer other people. They can choose to accept it or not. They can choose to pay for it or not, but you're giving them a gift. From, don't hold back your gifts from everybody else. So I think people are engaging and they're not just yeah, some people come and go and that's because they're busy or oh, now I want to promote something and I've been away for a while. But for the most part, the people that really are benefiting the most from the experience are like any in-person relationship. You give as much as you get. And so people tend to come and really play because they want to be connected and be part of it. And we also try and introduce everybody that joins to at least one or two or three people
Yeah.
that we know from what they tell us about themselves. Oh my God, you have to meet so and so. 9 times out of 10, that includes you have to meet Dr. Melissa Bird. Magical, very often, very,
I
very
mean, I am epic in so many ways.
epic.
Epic.
But so yeah, so we also build those connections with people as soon as they get there, so you never feel like the wallflower at the party, like we always are. Um, so I think those are all elements of it.
And if you want to be the wallflower at the party, that's okay too.
100%, no one's ever forced.
We don't make anyone do anything they don't want to do.
You turn that camera off in the workshop, girl. That's totally.
That's right. That's right. There's no rules, which I really appreciate. I don't like.
Our only rule is to be kind, be
Yeah.
respectful.
Yeah, you have to be respectful, kind, and loving. But like
There's no algorithm.
that's not just a rule, like that's a thing.
That's just love.
And Amy, I think what you just said is like, so there's no algorithm. Like nobody's trying to push up to the top. It doesn't matter how many times you post. People are either gonna see it or they're not. Like
In fact, the platform has the ability to gamify it and be like, you get a badge because you're a top. And we're like, no, 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 no. You
and
come with we love you.
I
Doesn't
think I think that's so this is what I love about what you are doing is that you saw a need for women to be able to come together and just let it all hang out. Like, I sort of feel like sometimes the sisterhoods where you get home from work and you take off the bra and you're in your comfy clothes and you can just look another thumbs up.
thumbs up.
Look another thumbs up, everybody. You can just be 100% who you are in that space. Why do you think we're craving that so much right now?
Oh, because the world is so scary. The world is just so scary right now.
There's that lack of
And
filter.
I need a soft space to land where I know I can get hugs, virtual
Yeah.
and otherwise.
Yeah.
It's just scary out there. And I think, a large percentage of our community is women who are solopreneurs or they're artists or they're activists. So that, they're alone and they feel lonely in general because of the life that they've chosen for themselves. And then on top of it, to be afraid to go out to the grocery store because you don't want to get thrown into a unmarked van. And, it's a scary time. I just think community is the only thing that's going to get us through all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nancy and I joke kind of all the time, like the robots are going to take over the world. Like it's inevitable that AI, robot waiters,
Yeah.
drones, they're going to become the dominant force. But the only thing they're not going to be able to replace is human connection. And so, we built the Passionistas Project, starting with our podcast in 2017, 2018, when the world started to get a little bit kooky. And we know it started then so that we were ready for this moment. because now is the time where we need each other more than ever before, and we need to be able to do that. I mean, nothing is ever 100% safe, but this feels like we're in our own little bubble, and we can be doing what we need to do together for each other under the radar and outside of certain forces running certain platforms, hiding our posts and silencing things or telling us that we can't advertise because we're talking about women's equality and that's too political. So it just feels like good news, bad news. Bad news, we had to go what we went through 5 years ago, but we did that now so that we know activists who are helping us fight back. We know women who can buy from each other and support each other's businesses during this unconventional time. We know spiritual leaders and thought leaders like you and Safriana, and we know amazing coaches like Julie, and so we were, doctors, we know people with medical experience. Like we were meant to be together now.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah.
only going to grow stronger as stuff starts to kind of fall around us. And we have the resources and the tools to help each other survive whatever we need to survive as we push through to what you would call the necessary other side of all of this, which we know from you is going to take a long time.
It sure is. Also, I just completely will not. I will not with the robots. I will not. Every time a server brings me that pad and says you can order through here, I go, no, I am ordering with you
We
because
had an
you
experience
are a
recently.
person.
We had an
And they
experience.
get so mad because, of course, companies are changing their policies so that, like, you can't order from a human being. And I'm all, oh, no, no, I will not. You know what? I have a 75-year-old mother and she doesn't know how to do this. Like, it also is so ageist. This
So
whole technology thing is so ageist and so ableist, and it makes me so it is a soapbox moment for me. Like, dear everyone who watches this podcast, if you still want to keep your customers, you have to give us a way to interact as people.
yeah.
Because that's why we're here. We're here to be woven in the web of connection and connectivity. And one of the things I really love about what you all are doing with the sisterhood is that I have met you in person now. Like I'm actually connecting with actual human beings that live around me who I've gotten to know through this platform, and I don't feel so afraid like I'm meeting them on Facebook and it's going to end up being some weird ass MLM thing, like let's get together and have coffee. I'm curious, as we're gonna wind down this conversation a little bit. I'm really curious for each of you, what has been your absolute favorite moment since you launched the circle? What is the stand up moment for you since you began this project?
Well, this is going to sound like I'm kissing ass because we're talking to you. But the standout moment to me was just what you just referenced, is the day that we went to Portland about 4 months ago, and we sat in a room with a group of women who are in the sisterhood, most of whom we were meeting in person for the first time, and got real life hugs
Mm.
and sat there like we had been. And I mean, some of them were lifelong friends. One of them was my college roommate, and one of them was my very first boss when I was still in college.
One of us is our sister.
One of them was our
Your
sister.
Talk about lifelong.
Oh, so there was definitely lifelong connections there, but there was also people that we've known now for 5 years, 6 years, and had never met in person. And it was just so soul filling. And it just really, for the first time, made it real. Like, it isn't just this virtual thing floating in the ether. Like, this is real. These are real connections. This is real love. This is real support. So to me, that's a standout.
All right.
Amy, how
I have two.
okay.
One is the day after the election last year, when we had a call, again, we were just like, we're going to be on Zoom. Anybody who wants to come, just come.
Mhm.
And 7 or 8 women came, all different backgrounds, this financially, ability-wise, ethnic backgrounds. And it was just a space where everybody could just talk about their fears and their pain points and their what they're passionate about, and other people could console them or say, yeah, I know what you're going through, or just listen again. And it was like, this is why we're here, is to remind everybody that you're not alone. Like this is a dark moment in time, and we're looking down a tunnel and we have no idea what's speeding toward us, but we see the little pinpoint of light. And everybody was there for each other. And that has rippled out to what happens in posts and people who come to workshops. So that's probably the biggest one. The other one honestly happened today. I guess I think I said to you at the beginning of this before we started, I was having a bad morning, and I am never giving up on this sisterhood, but it was definitely one of those days of like, how the heck are we going to get through this period where just money is tight, and being an activist and community builder and social impact professional can be a struggle financially. And so I was having a rough morning, and then I looked, and Safriana did a post. Today is a year since she joined. Here I go. And she just talked about how it's changed her life.
Mhm.
And it meant everything to me,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, now you're gonna get me to cry. So go.
So and
Oh,
part of
I'm
that
never
was,
the one. I get everyone else to cry.
yeah, and
Yeah, I
part of
read her
it
post and I was just like, oh my God, I love her so much.
was,
Like,
you know, how you changed her life in the last year, and the people that she's met and the opportunities she's had. And it was just like, yep, no matter what happens, we're going to figure out how to get through this rocky period, because we're not going everywhere. The reason we're supporting women from marginalized communities is because nobody does. And everybody who tries gets to the point where they're like, oh, I can't afford to do this. I'm going to go.
well, and Amy, that's the thing. Like the reason from the moment I met you both and was introduced to you by our good friend Stacy,
Mhm.
from that very second, your intention to make sure that women of color, that people with disabilities, like your focus on helping people with disabilities be seen and heard and witnessed, like that doesn't happen. People try and make it happen, but that doesn't happen in most spaces. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I've talked to my friends with disabilities who are like, that was that was crazy. Nobody does that. Like it's all performance bullshit. And that is what I love about the Passionistas, is that there's no performance happening.
Mm.
There's no performance. So we're gonna include obviously a link to the sisterhood in the show notes. But really quick, what do you so the Passionistas is free, the circle is free to come into, but you also have an amazing membership that is available to people. Do you want to talk about that real quick before we wrap up?
There's a premium membership, which you get above and beyond the free membership. You get access to weekly workshops, um, all sorts of different networking meetups, from a podcast one to a one for the storytellers, because we have an anthology book and summit that's also part of the sisterhood. And there's a podcast networking group. There's Passionistas TV. There's which Dr. Melissa
Which I have an amazing TV
every week.
show.
Go.
And there's just all sorts of amazing workshops and classes and courses, and it's a bargain at $49 a month or $4.99 a year. And yeah, and you get access to all of the Power Passionistas, which Dr. Melissa Bird is one of. And those are the experts in our community, and they are all brilliant. And what else, Amy? What did I forget?
That's all about the membership, but I also want to add that on August 24th, 5th, and 6th, 26th,
6th, 7th, and 8th.
7th, and 8th, more importantly, starting on International Women's Equality Day, even though we all know women's equality Okay. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Starting on the 26th of August for 3 days, we are having our annual Women's Summit,
Great.
virtual summit. So everybody can come, no matter where you are in the world, no matter your abilities to get around. We are going to have amazing panels with the women who are the authors in our anthology book, Awakening Your Power. And Dr. Bird is one of them. So we're gonna have them tell their stories, and then there are going to be some roundtable discussions with each of the women in the book. And then we're going to have at least one film screening, maybe two, and we're going to have the Passionistas Project Awards, where we give a few awards to some amazing women who are inspiring and incredible. And so we are currently selling early bird tickets for that. So you can find out about that when you join the sisterhood too.
Yay! And I'd love
I
to.
will say the free membership also, just come and get to know everybody, introduce yourself, poke around.
And I'd love to include the summit link in the show notes too. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much for being with me. I love you both.
Love you so much. You've changed our lives in the most magical and wonderful way.
You've changed my life too. So thanks. I love you guys so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.